Hey everyone, and welcome to my guide about my Thorns Barbarian for Season 1. This build is in a very good spot right now due to several buffs within patch 1.1.1. For example, the Thorns aspect Death Wish got buffed and Flay generates more fury now. The result is a faster fortification. Feel free to make use of the timestamps in the description to skip around the video. I will start with the pros and cons list because there are some. Then I'll talk about the items, skill tree and my Paragon Boards. After that, I'll explain how Thorns damage works and I play the build in a short endgame demonstration to explain the rotation more for anyone who never played the Barbarian class and a build like that. With that being said, here are my pros for the Thorns Barbarian in Diablo 4. The build comes online very early and works all the way to level 100. Insane nukes and AoE clear if played smart. You gotta group the mobs together, but it's fairly easy. Yeah, received a lot of buffs from the latest patch. Almost 100% unstoppable uptime, depending on the setup. Enjoy Diablo 4 without crowd control effects, I guess. Most dungeon fixes like explosions or meteor don't even affect you, because the build is that tanky. There are a lot of viable variants possible for speed farming, dungeon pushing, and or PvP. And most importantly, it's fun and a unique playstyle. You could literally farm content your level by doing nothing. You gotta fish for the right keys. Some are literally a 20 minutes raid boss encounter, so don't even bother. Here are the good dungeons. Another downside, in my humble opinion, of the build is best in slot gear can be difficult to get due to unusual stat combination requirements, and rare items like Razorplate and Rage of Harrogate can be hard to find, depending on your luck, of course. Let's talk about items, huh? Okay, so helmet is the aspect of the might. Rage of Harrogate chest piece, just a placeholder until I can finally find a razor plate. If you don't have the Harrogate chest piece nor razor plate, you could wear a defensive chest piece like this. Which is actually better anyways, because you want another form of unstoppable, like a second one. In this variant there's only one unstoppable form. Gloves of the inner calm, so when I stand still I deal more damage. And I stand still all the time. Lucky hit chance is not optimal here. You want stats like this: attack speed, all stats, strength, and very important, damage to injured. The pants are the first piece of equipment where it's highly recommended to roll some form of damage reduction. In my case I got 4 to Warcries, because I like having my Warcries almost maxed out, like this is rank 5, even though I've spent only 1 point in here. That's just personal preference. But yeah, you're looking for DR mainly here. Every point of fury generated while at maximum fury grants Fortify. So this just recently got buffed, like yesterday or like 2 days ago. And it generates even more fury now than before, which results in a faster Fortify building process. Rend, same thing. I get 20 fury, like that's a lot. That's how I have Fortify all the time, but it needs to ramp up, right? So the boots. Oh, I almost forgot. You should prioritize boots with your potions grant 30 max life as a barrier. Like, that's really, really good. Boots, like same thing. All stats, strength, damage reduction while injured again. Like, I'm really tanky. I'm really, really tanky. But if I get low, I become even more tanky, right? So really hard to kill. This build is really hard to kill. The unstoppable aspect here. It's just a form of hopefully more damage in certain situations, right? And also very nice in PvP. A two-handed mace. I prefer injured damage here, because I hate when people are running away with low HP in PvP. Also helps with finishing off like annoying trash mobs. Yeah, ideally you want probably close damage, strength, or stats, and damage to vulnerable. And aspect, like the Thorns AoE aspect. I think they buffed this as well, up to 90%, no? But I need to find a new one. Like that's the pre-patch aspect. 2 axes for damage to healthy enemies. On 1 you want the rapid. You want the rapid aspect for more attack speed. On the other one you want the fire proc when berserking. So that's even more AoE. They not only stand in their Thorns damage, but also in the fire Nova, basically. The weapon I use for rend, a 2-hand axe, because of damage to healthy enemies. Again, the rows on here are not perfect, but it is what it is. Yeah. That's the main source of Thorns damage. While berserking, I just gain almost 6k. Like, that's where all the damage comes from. Those two are absolutely mandatory. When you want to level with this build, all you have to do to get started is get those 2 aspects, more or less. That's how that works. The rings, I will talk about the hearts in a second, and alternative gear options. So the ring, like shout skill stuff to reduce cooldown even more, and shouts generate fury, so I passively build up fortify, if you will. The amulet, in my opinion, and for the build I play, or for the variant I play, is defensive skills a must, because I run all the war cries. 3 to the passive tough as nails. This doubles the Thorns damage. More in a second in the skill tree. Cooldown reduction, of course, and Thorns. If I could wish for one other stat, I would get rid of Thorns damage and roll damage reduction on here. And of course, the disobedience aspect for the armor. For the armor, so my hearts. I don't run the Barber because I think it does not work well with bleed damage. Okay. So I thought my game was laggy as it was lagging as hell. Then I got rid of the Barber, and now everything's fine. So instead, I'm using this one. Oh wait, that's not even the Wrathful. This is the Wrathful one. Incoming damage has a 12% chance of being ignored and instead healing me for 362. Okay. Comes in handy because it's a nice little combo with the second heart. Every 5 seconds while above 60 life, and I'm like 99% of the time above 60 life. Core skills, rend. Costs life instead of resource, but it deals 26% more damage. So It's even a little bit more damage. And yeah, this one, 20% damage reduction, excuse me. And yeah, a little bit of AoE burst when I use a defensive skill. They are all defensive. Those two are defensive. So, sockets in my gear. Obviously Thorns. It's a Thorns barbarian build. Lol. And skulls in my weapons for life on kill. So you want all stats, strength, close, and vulnerable on both weapons. In a perfect world. And on top of it, 2 axes. You could, for PvP, swap out the two-handed axe and use a rare polearm instead. Or use a polearm, use a polearm instead. Of course, get the Thorns aspect and stuff, but you got a lot of damage to injure it. So, before they realize you're a Thorns barbarian, they are probably at around 35% life. And then you rent them and then it's over. So this is something for PvP players out there. When you start out with this build, there's a decent unique you can get early on. It's called Ancient's Oath. And it makes Steel Grasp hooks 2 additional enemies basically. And yeah, has some nice mods on it, vulnerable damage, damage by berserking. A lot of plus skills to Steel Grasp, which in return lowers the cooldown. That's for leveling. Okay, that's okay for leveling. I was running a while for speed farming, like tier 50 dungeons or whatever. Just those boots with the Holy Freeze aura. Because they have a ridiculous amount of movement speed. That's pretty much it about my gear. So let's talk a little bit about the skill tree then. 1 point in Flay. Skill like the Thorns damage thingy, Combat Flay. 1 point Rend. 1 point Furious Rend gives Fury, those 2 for damage reduce. 1 in Rallying Cry, strategic Rallying Cry. Max out Outburst, of course, that's the whole theme of the build. Max out Toughest Nails as well. I maxed out Challenging Shot. Go for strategic Challenging Shout here. 1 point in Warcry. 1 point in Mighty Warcry. Max out all the Warcry stuff. Warcry. Movement speed here. This got buffed within the patch. Like, the damage reduction is... I feel way more tanky, man. Like, I just did a tier 80. That's my personal record with this build. I think so. Pit Fighter, of course. Makes only sense, right? Steel Grasp. Get the Berserker Steel Grasp one. 1 into Thick Skin to unlock counter offensive. Just more damage. No ultimate. And unconstrained. The patch notes say 35%. The tooltip in-game says 25%. Yeah, you know what I mean? I hope it works, man. I can't tell. I honestly can't tell. I feel that I'm more tanky because of this buff. But I'm not too sure if these 10% are in effect, really. I don't know. Whatever. Yep, that's the skill tree. Yo, on to the Paragon Boards. Let's go. So, starting board. With Exploit Glyph. First board, Blood Rage. with the glyph iron. You can swap this out for whatever, really. Preferably one with either strength as well, or martial is not too bad here too. You got a lot of willpower here. Oh wait, never mind, that's the wrong one. Bruh. The fuck? Oh, this one, right? For even more cooldown reduction. That's the willpower. You can just respec these few points. Swap out Ira for something else. Second Paragon Board. Carnage. With the Revenge Glyph. Next board, Bonebreaker. Get the Territorial Glyph here. Last board. I think I get like 8% more life or so. Yeah, I get 8% more life. Glyph socket for martial for cooldown. And a little bit of damage, and that's it. 90. So, ideally you want to cast your shards. Just spam them, they reset all the time. Like, just use them on cooldown, like, just a friendly recommendation. Then you want to hook them, and then you stand still. You hit them a few times with Flay, so this counter goes up to 4. It means you get a higher Thorns damage output. Like, use the grasp now and then, make them vulnerable again. Get berserk if you want. Get berserk if you need. Boom. Berserk is on. Monster is vulnerable. If you meet the tanky monster, or there are like a lot of monsters around you, because you buff up, grab him, you flay them up to 4. If you still have berserk, you spam a rend. Other than that, pre-buff, buff up, get like the procs, get berserk, get vulnerable, then spam rend. And if possible, while standing still. So this goes up. Thanks for watching, guys, and let me know if I missed something or what you think about the build.